A car accident can happen in less than a second, but the battle with insurance companies, that can go on for years, and it's not one you want to fight on your own. That's why Joseph Ramos of the Ramos Injury Firm is here to let you know that you don't have to do it on your own. I was telling you earlier, I saw you on TV. I was working out in the morning, saw you on TV. I'm like, he needs to come on our show, and here you are the following week, right?
Yeah.
It's so nice to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So every time people see your commercials, they see what makes you different. Why don't you explain what makes your law firm different?
Well, you know, the big thing about Ramos Law is the fact it is that I'm a doctor.
Right.
When you're dealing with these insurance companies and you're dealing with injuries, they're not really asking you what the law is. They're asking what the injuries are.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can actually discuss the injuries with them and actually pronounce the names right of the injuries.
That's so true.
Probably makes us different right off the bat in the insurance society.
Absolutely. That experience on both sides, I think, is vital. So why don't you go through why being a medical doctor really does matter in a legal case?
Well, the very first thing is that there are very few people that are walking around without any sort of pre-existing condition, whether it's arthritis or a prior bulging disc or something like that. And you have to be able to explain that and explain why it is and why the car crash caused their particular new condition or their new situation and why it's not, you know, quote, how they are.
Right.
Frequently, you know, the insurance companies will say, yeah, this wasn't caused by the car crash. This is how this person was. And if you don't understand the medicine, you can't explain that. That's one of the first areas I would say that's very effective. The second thing that comes along in injury cases is causation. I'm always saying, did this crash cause this? And if it did cause this, at least it's that second step, which is what is their future?
Yeah.
And as a medical doctor and having treated thousands of patients over the years, both, you know, new acute injuries, chronic injuries, things people have dealt with for years, that just goes hand in, you know, kind of in line with exactly everything I've been doing.
Yeah, I think that should be a prerequisite to becoming an injury lawyer and having a law firm. You should have both sides. So do you specialize in any particular injury?
Well, you know, I think the area, so the answer is no. We'll take care of anybody who's injured, but I think we have a particular strength in complex injuries, catastrophic injuries, injuries that are more serious.
Yeah.
The reason being is that there's so much more that follows a serious injury. What people are forced to live with, what their future care plan may be, getting doctors to testify and explain those things. Doctors respond better to other doctors, and when I'm talking to a doctor and asking him, hey, what do you think about this for this person's future? They tend to be very responsive and very helpful, and I think a much better, truer message comes across as to what that person has to face.
Yeah, that's so true. Medical people, the way they communicate, it's so unique, and I think they probably have way more respect for you as well.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because my staff always teases me. They laugh because they'll call and try to get an appointment with a doctor and maybe it's a week before they get a call back and 3 weeks out for the appointment, and I call and we meet that afternoon and have lunch together or something. And doctors respond better to other doctors.
Absolutely. We do have some visuals that we were going to bring on, and I want you to explain what these mean. So if we can bring those up, what are we talking about here?
Well, this goes right along with what you and I were just talking about with doctors responding better to doctors. What's happened to me is that insurance companies have come to realize that me being a doctor is different, that me being a doctor makes a difference. And what you see here on the screen is now what insurance companies are doing to me. They're having their counsel file these motions to prevent me from telling the jury that I'm a medical doctor. They don't want me called doctor in court.
Really?
They don't want the juries to know that I'm a doctor.
Wow.
And they're literally filing these motions in limine. I brought a couple of them here.
Can they get away with that? Can they do that?
You know, they can. They've had a few of these granted, but I have to laugh and you know, I take it in stride, and I think it just supports kind of when you asked what makes us different.
Yeah.
The fact that these insurance companies have to ask their attorneys to work their tail ends off so that a jury can be tricked into not knowing I'm a doctor.
Right.
Because they know that's going to be impactful.
Yeah.
Is, you know, speaks for itself.
That's interesting. I'm glad we featured that. So you have a piece of advice for people who have not been involved in an accident recently. What's that advice? Well,
you know, if there's one thing that your viewers take from today's show, the thing I would want them to take from is not run to Ramos Law or run to us for an injury, because there's probably a lot of people that see this today who aren't going to have an injury.
Yeah.
But the thing that they should take from this is make sure that you have proper insurance. We're seeing with the people coming into our firm, and there have been some studies across Colorado, some of the studies have said that as many as 1 in 3 people don't have insurance.
Right.
And I can tell you in our firm that the great majority of people with insurance are underinsured. They buy that $25,000 minimum Colorado policy. And if you're hit by somebody with a minimum policy, you're stuck.
Yeah.
The onus is on you. And so the message to the viewers would be protect yourself. If you have any doubt whatsoever as to what your coverage is, you can email me, you can fax your policy to our firm, you can scan it in and email it to us, and we'll call you and tell you what you have.
And is that free of charge?
Free of charge, absolutely.
Love it.
And it's just a way to help, the citizens of Colorado, and you don't want people to get injured, be uninsured, or underinsured, and then have to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
And we see people all the time who say, I've got full coverage, full coverage.
Right.
Very, very few people have full coverage. They just don't understand what they were sold or what they purchased. And so we're here to help with that. So if anybody would like that, please get a hold of us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure today. Thanks for coming on. You want to send your insurance policy to the Ramos Injury Firm today. They will review the policy free and recommend any changes. You can email your policy directly to Joseph. His email address is joe@ramoslaw.com, or you can fax it over, and that fax number is 303-865-5666. And if you'd like to speak with Joseph and his staff about your case, or you want to know if you have a case, call them right now at 303-733-6353. You can also find them online at ramoslaw.com. Coming up.